But first, on Friday nights with Steve Price, we're probably not much more than 24 hours away from a result in tomorrow's by-election in south-east suburban Melbourne in the seat of Dunkley. Now, we'll talk with the state opposition's Brad Batten and Sky News' Simon Love about that shortly. Now, what is he hearing, Brad Batten, on the ground? His seat's not that dissimilar to Dunkley. I was in Dunkley Monday night, you might remember. I was at Paul Murray's pub test. That was the forum held at the Frankston Hotel, the Cheeky Squire. Good pub it is too. Liberal candidate Nathan Conroy was there up front and a couple of independents as well. Now, the Labor candidate, Jody Balia, didn't turn up, presumably told by her political masters in Canberra to stay away. I suspect the fact it was a Sky special event that Labor decided to boycott it. The Greens wimped it as well. That's not surprising. Clearly, the big issues in Dunkley are cost of living related. 12 mortgage rate rises since Labor won the election, rental properties, when you can find one, costing you a fortune and rents going up, electricity and gas bills through the roof, despite the Prime Minister during that election campaign, he said he would bring those costs down by $275 a year by 2025. Well, that's not going to happen. Add the crippling cost of petrol and diesel for those Dunkley families that need to travel for work, all those good tradies, record immigration numbers under Labor making all the housing issues worse, plus the weekly food bill that has gone through the roof. It's a long list. Now, the question is whether the voters, and I think there are around 111,000 registered voters in that Dunkley seat, will those voters blame the federal Labor government for that crippling list? And do they believe that they would be better off under Peter Dutton's coalition? That's the big question to be decided tomorrow. Now, one thing many commentators have missed while concentrating on national issues is how much deep-seated anger exists in Frankston or Carrum Downs or the more affluent Mount Martha over the treatment by another Labor government. I speak, of course, of Dan Andrews-led Labor government of Victoria. 6 lockdowns were bad enough. Lockdowns hit young families in these suburbs hard. Schools were shut down for long periods of time. The building industry is put on hold. Travel was banned. Dunkley, like so much more of Melbourne, became little islands where you were isolated. Dan Andrews was arrogant and unbending. His mandates on vaccines were policed with an iron fist in 2020 and 2021. Then, when we all came out the other side, the state was so broke, along came a new raft of property taxes, slapping anyone with a small investment property or a little shack down the coast with massive tax bills. I'll ask Simon in a moment if that is going to be an issue. But the question is, will this poll be a poll on the two Labor leaders, Albanese and Andrews? Now, who could forget the post-COVID picture of that pair posing in front of a fake barbecue with what looked to me and everyone else like uncooked steaks? Didn't seem they'd even turned the barbecue on. I don't know if they like each other much, but that was a pathetic show of buddyism. Now, I don't know the answer to my question, but I can tell you, when I mentioned at that pub test on Monday night Daniel Andrews' name, the room erupted. Yes, they might have been predominantly Liberal supporters, but the former Premier is a loathed figure by many in this state. Look, this election might be won and lost on the regard many in the area had for the former member for Peter Murphy, who sadly lost her battle with breast cancer that caused the vacancy for this election. As there should be, there will be a portion of the community who will cast a sympathy vote, and I understand that. The margin's over 6%. It would be a shock if Labor lost, but don't rule it out. Sky will have full coverage right here from 6 o'clock tomorrow night.